Welcome. This is long awaited to an all new episode of Geek Vibes Live. We've been going for a while, but we've been doing so many other podcasts. So, you guys had to give us a break. But we are back. We are back with the OG crew. And this week we have some really cool topics we want to break down. Some a little bit more, somewhat emotional, but bear with us. We'll get you guys through it. But first, let me introduce my amazing panel, starting off with Tia. What's going on, Tia?
Hello, everyone. I just maybe 10 minutes before this podcast finished my review for the first episode of season 2 for All Mankind, made myself coffee, and then went into the bathroom to see that my dog used the bathroom all over the floor. So it's been a fun prior 10 minutes to this.
He looked up when you said that, like, don't be telling my business. Don't be telling my business like that. Like, as soon as you said that, he just popped up like, oh, for real? That's how you're going to do me? All these people?
So it was me just pretty much running around before this. And then I text Juwaan going, all right, I'm ready. And he's like, well, no, now you got to give me a few minutes. I'm like, well, thanks.
I legit just got my information back from my tax guy. And I'm like, I know me. Since we've started doing the Marvel Cinematic Review on Saturdays, my Saturdays are dedicated to putting on my tinfoil hat and going deep into WandaVision. So I'm like, I didn't want to forget to do it. So I'm like, let me do it now that I see his email. And I legit was like, all right, I got a few more minutes till 8. And I was like, something in my body was like, Tia's going to be early. And I was like, don't be early. And she texted me. I was like, but no. We are here, guys, and next up, Dom, what's going on, man?
Man, snowed in all week. It's been, well, in Tennessee, we're used to getting ice, and that usually results in like a day or two stuck at home, maybe 3. But this time, I think in total, we've gotten like 8 inches of snow, and we don't get snow, especially where I'm at, like the Rutherford County, Davidson County area, like Middle Tennessee. We usually don't get that kind of snow, so it's just kind of weird. Feel sorry for Texas; they're going through it big time. And for those who are listening or could be listening, who are either in Texas or got family in Texas, the realest rapper to ever live, Trey the Truth. If you go to his Instagram, Trey ABN. He's been doing on the ground efforts, food, water, trying to help everybody he can, because he actually has his own day in Texas if people don't know, because he is that guy that everyone looks to in Texas to kind of lead the way. So he's been doing his thing, and so yeah, shout out to all them people who need help and who are able to donate and all that stuff. I donated earlier this week, trying to help them, and also, if you're watching this, listening to it, like, subscribe, follow, whatever, comment, whatever you want to do, whichever platform you're on, do that. And if you want to email us, my email is open, domfisher@geekvibesnation.com. In case you got something you want to say, you want to get some off the chest, you want to talk some shit, whatever, hit us up, because we read everything. We're constantly on the phones and whatnot, so like get active.
Get active. Go ahead, Tia.
I was gonna say, just don't go on a vacation to Cancun right now.
Right. Don't do that for sure.
No, but Dom's putting in the work, giving us like the shout out and everything like right? That. This is why he's the
brand ambassador right there. But no, all of our love to everybody out there in Texas. I will say, there were a lot of Republicans over these past 4 years that are like, global warming, what's that? And it's kind of like, are you seeing
it? It's showing you. It's
are
like
you seeing it?
Example. Here you go.
I don't know if it was a real tweet or not, but someone had reposted, like Ted Cruz said like 2 or 3 years ago, I'll believe in global warming when it snows in Texas. And it's just like, all right, Ted.
Jesus,
he has to be sitting somewhere like
sitting in the air. You sitting in the airport in Cancun.
Yeah. Going yikes. But all right, let's get into this. We're not a political podcast. Let's get into this. We are starting off our first episode back, starting with trailer talk. We got a few trailers. I want to start with probably the lesser of the three, not in quality or content, just as far as notoriety, and that's the Invincible. That trailer just dropped. That is a great voice cast that they have, man. And I usually give voice casts up to Warner Brothers. Their voice casts are just phenomenal. We've met half of their voice cast over the last few movies, interviewed them. Dom, I believe you did Red Sun. Tia, have you done a DC animated movie interview yet?
I actually haven't, but I know that you did a very great one with Rosario Dawson. So
I wasn't gonna say it. No, so we definitely got to get you on that, Tia. And Dom, I'm pretty sure this was brought up to you, but all the voice actors over there are led in Warner Brothers by the great Wes Gleason, who helps out everybody over there with voice work. So huge shouts out to him. But to Invincible, Stephen Young, I believe, is the main character. His dad is portrayed by name just left me. What's his name? Man, played J. Jonah Jameson.
J.K. Simmons.
Oh, J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons. Zazie Beetz is also in there. Like it's pretty stacked.
I saw Zachary Quinto is also in. I'm trying to pull it up to see just to like name off.
A lot of people who've been on The Walking Dead at some point.
Yeah. Yeah, they legit were just like, hey, you guys want to have a reunion? Like, let's do this thing.
Yeah, you got Mark Hamill, Sandra Oh, Seth Rogen, Gillian Jacobs, Zazie Beetz, Walton Goggins, Kari Payton. I don't know if I said his name right, but you know who he plays, Ezekiel. Zachary Quinto, yeah. Oh, and you're right. There's a shit ton of people on here who were in The Walking Dead, and Mahershala Ali is in it. That I can't even. That's a huge voice cast. That's insane.
Yes, it is.
John Hamm is on it.
It definitely, like, Amazon to do that show was definitely like, you got over like 400 million to spare, right? Like, that's just your actors. That's not even like anything digital or anything like that. But this looks great. I'm not familiar with the story. I will not get familiar with the story. I will let the show educate me. I told you guys I don't like to influence myself like that. But it looks great. It looks great. Dom, I do believe you got some secret cooking over there when it comes to Invincible.
Yeah, I've been sitting on the show for like a week and a half. I plan on watching it all this weekend. And I'm the same way. I'm not familiar with what the IP, but it did look very similar to Sky High at the beginning, and I love Sky High. That is a guilty pleasure movie for me. And really, it's not really a guilty pleasure. It's just a good movie. I like it. But I mean, with Robert Kirkman attached to it, I mean, of course, I'm a Walking Dead fan. I have the comics, and that guy is a genius at putting together these raw type of shows. And when you have that scene where it looks like kind of like The Boys, where someone zooms past some bodies and they explode, I was like, okay, it went to that point where I wanted to be. So I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, I got really hyped when it looked like whatever that bad guy was just killing him. Like when he was just punching him into the ground and it looked like he was dying. I was just like, I don't know what's going on, but I like it. And T, I'm gonna pass it to you. I'm really curious what J.K. Simmons' character, what that big secret is, that he's saying he has to tell his son. Like maybe he's not his dad. Like what is it? Maybe he's an experiment. Again, these are me guessing. I've not read anything about the Invincible, but this trailer looked really good. I thought the first trailer that they dropped looked great. You know, it was a great setup, but this is like a return serve from Serena Williams kind of good. Like this was just like bow right to your face. But Tia, what did this trailer do for you?
So, correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't it look, say, a little familiar to what are those Netflix movie shows or something that are supposed to be coming out where the Mark Miller world or something like that?
Yeah.
Do you guys know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
you mean Sandman?
No, not Sandman. The one where that's Neil Gaiman. The
I didn't
one
know.
where
You're right.
uh oh god, the guy who was like married to Fergie plays the main character, and it's also about like superheroes that pass on their like superhero powers to their kids or something. Anyway,
I didn't even know
I'll
about that. I love it. It's Josh Duhamel, right?
yeah,
I love
yeah.
Josh Duhamel. No one ever talks about Josh Duhamel, but I like
Well,
Duhamel.
well, look him up. He's going to be in a Netflix thingy that's coming up. So anyway, that's what it reminded me of. I really didn't know what Invincible was about at first when I was watching a trailer. I was like, okay, this looks like a nice little cartoon sort of superhero show. Cool, it'll be great for kids and all that. And as soon as I saw blood, I was like, this is not going to be great for kids. This is going to be terrible for children. And that really kind of went into that darker turn, which then I kind of became a little bit more interested knowing that it's going to be more adult. And then seeing the voice cast was very impressive. So I think it looks fun. I have Amazon Prime, which is great. So when it comes out, I'll be able to watch it. And I think I'm just in a position of that it looks like an enjoyable show. Just as you guys said, I don't know anything about these characters, so I'll just get educated from watching it. But I think it looks great. I like the style. I think again the voice cast, they just nailed it with it.
Yeah, no, I'm completely with you. I was looking and I couldn't find it, but it just reminded me of like I forgot he was in Transformers, and it just put me in a really like depressed state. But no, I'm completely with you guys, and to me, I do like that we're getting more content that's for us. I think some of these big companies are so interested in selling toys that we get so much kid content, and these kids could care less. Like they don't care. I was just saying this.
Can I
Um,
interrupt you for two
yeah,
seconds? I'm so
absolutely. Yeah.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Jupiter's Legacy is what Josh Duhamel's going to be in.
Oh, wait, wasn't that Mila Kunis Channing Tatum movie?
No,
Or Ascending.
no. Jupiter's Legacy is an upcoming American superhero streaming television by Stephen S. D. Knight, based on the comic book series by Mark Miller and Frank Quitely.
Got you.
I don't know. So
Okay.
your man Josh Duhamel plays the main character, so you should just know that.
I'm signed up. Sign me up immediately. I really do enjoy his acting. I don't think he's like the greatest or anything, but I do enjoy him. You know, he's one of those quiet guys, you know. But yeah, like I was saying, to cater things after kids just isn't smart anymore. We were talking about this on Figure It Out with Pete, JD, and Joel. A show like Young Justice, they were trying to sell toys for, and when they couldn't, they canceled it. And then they did Teen Titans Go. But the problem with that was it's just not it wasn't for kids. It's why you couldn't sell merch. Kids weren't really watching it. It was catered for us. Who brought it back? Us. So to me it's like it sounds crazy, but like these collectibles, these shows, these movies, cater them to us. These kids don't care. They're TikToking and lick locking or whatever the new crap is that they're doing. They don't care. So give it all to us, you know. Screw those kids. Kill
You
Superman.
you made us sound so geriatric. Whatever they're doing.
Every time I say that, my aunt said that to me today. Every time I say like, forget those kids, she's like, you sound so old. And I'm like, it's not that. It's just the way that these studios are set up. They're catered to trying to make as much money as possible, and they think it's through kids, and it's not. It's just not. They really don't care. Like you ask a kid right now, like, "Hey, did you see last season of Young Justice?" I don't know. Is that a TikTok person? What is that? Like they won't know. They have no idea.
I just hate that they don't give enough credit for how mature kids can be, because we grew up watching Batman animated series and the X-Men animated series. Those were not, like, if you go back and watch them, they're not technically for kids other than their colorful cartoons, but
Right.
like the subject matter is very serious in tone.
Well,
And
not even that. We grew up on Red and Stimpy, freaking South Park. I mean, Family Guy. We were right at that age. I mean, we're the epitome of inappropriate cartoons, and we turned out just fine.
right.
Yeah, I'd say this new generation is crazier than us. But also, this new generation grew up playing games that we just didn't have as kids. Call of Duty, Grand Theft Auto. Like, we grew up in, like, GoldenEye, Mario, Sonic. You know, that's why we're lawyers, presidents, sane people, not in prison. These kids these days, it's just like, all my games have guns. And it's just like, all right, crazy. So, yeah, it's definitely a different time for sure. And me saying that, I feel old. Like, I just felt a gray pop in saying that. But all right, let's move on. We're excited for the Invincible coming next month on Amazon Prime. If you do not have Amazon Prime, please get it. It's great for more things than just all the amazing content they're coming out with. It's really good to be able to get free packages in 2 days. So just for that purely. But all right, let's move on. I'm gonna save Tia's favorite trailer for last, so we're gonna do Mortal Kombat second.
I was like, wait, what are you talking about?
I was like, wait,
like,
what trailer? I actually just went at nauseum about this Mortal Kombat trailer with Joel and Trayvon on GVN Breakdown. So I'm gonna pass it to you guys first before I go into it. Dom, I'll start off with you, man. I'm pretty sure all that ripping hands through chests and all that, Dom was like, yes, yes, yes. So what were your thoughts, man, on this first official trailer for Mortal Kombat?
Yeah, this is the Mortal Kombat I've always wanted. It is the closest thing to the video game I've ever seen. Now, granted, the old ones we loved when we were younger because that was the technology at the time. So now that we fast forward to now, we have the ability to make things look as real as possible. This is what I wanted. Like when I saw him stab him and then he froze the blood and then stabbed. Oh my god! Like this trailer was so good. And I'm a big fan of Makad Brooks, and I don't like Jax, but he's making me want to like that character. Because Jax is, playing the game, he's just slow and he's powerful, but like I need somebody that can fluidly move around. And but now like the characters look fantastic. And I actually just sent some Instagram videos to Slack.
I'm glad you're bringing it up because I swear I just saw it and I wasn't able to watch it because we were on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I love Patrick Cloud. I love All Death. I'm huge fans of theirs. So I'm like, damn, what is the context of like these videos Dom sent? So I'm glad you're saying it now. Please explain so I know.
No, it's his the videos he made is he's got 3 of them right now, and it's if humans signing up for Mortal Kombat, not knowing what Mortal Kombat was, and it's hilarious. He's like, yeah, my name is Punchy, like, all right, Punchy, what's your power? I MMA, and they're like that's your power. There's a guy who can like freeze you with his hands. He can freeze you. What? The next one is like, man, what are you doing? Oh, I was watching the tournament. I got fight in an hour. He's like, oh, what have you seen? I saw a girl get her butthole ripped out, and then she stood up and she won. He's like, yeah, man, they kill you out there. He's like, oh shit. No, it's great. But that trailer,
I love Patrick Cloud.
the trailer was so good. I mean, there's not many trailers that live up to the hype. We've seen it over the past year that some have, but in the past, we see the trailer, it looks really good, and then the movie's a letdown, or even we hear about the trailer and then the trailer's a letdown. But with them having, it seems like a pretty good amount of time, and this fan base that is so big, you can't not make this movie good. So I expect a lot from it. I probably shouldn't, but it's Mortal Kombat. You have to go big or go home. But I've watched it multiple times. But yeah, I loved it.
I would say this: the newer games have done a great job on their stories, but I would say to fans, because I still swear by that first Mortal Kombat, that first one, I still swear by it. Beautiful, well done. It's the Annihilation that you kind of look at and you go, you didn't bring the same people from the first one, did you? Like, I don't think you understand what you're doing. But I would say to fans where you should temper your expectations, just go into this hoping for some of the best gore, blood, and amazing fight choreography, right? Don't really give too much to the story, because it might fall, the story might fall flat. But to me, I don't care if the fights are good and I'm getting some of the best fatalities ever, right? It won't matter to me, I don't need this to be an Academy Award winner. I just need it to be entertaining. I tell you guys all the time, I left Venom going. I was entertained. Was it a good movie? No, but I was entertained. So
I really liked Venom, by the way. I walked into that with like the lowest of the low expectations because I did not like the first two trailers. So I was like, I'm not expecting this to be good. And I walked out and I was like, and then I watched it like a year later and I was like, still like it. Don't care. It was entertaining.
Yeah, once I saw that he wasn't going to have the emblem on his chest because obviously there's no Spider-Man, that was when I mentally checked out. I said, there's nothing you can really do. When they showed She-Venom, I was just like, okay. When they mentioned J. Jonah Jameson's son coming from outer space, okay. And then obviously Woody Harrelson being Carnage. Like, seeing those three things, I was just like, all right, you got me. Okay. All right. I enjoyed you. But like you said, Dom, it also, I wanted to ask you this, Dom, and then I promise I'm going to pass it to you, Tia. Did you notice when Scorpion's fighting what looks to be Sub-Zero's henchman, did you notice his wife was in the background frozen?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, okay. No one did. I only noticed it, and I did play-by-play with Joel and Trayvon, and I froze it in that moment. You see, well, let me not say his wife. It's a woman behind him frozen. And did you see the animated movie Scorpion's Revenge?
Yeah.
This looks like it's right from that, and I'm just like, Tia, when you get a chance, I don't know how much you're into Mortal Kombat, watch the animated Scorpion's Revenge. Mm-hmm. That has some of the brutalest fatalities. They just go like Dom said, someone got their butthole ripped out and got up and won. That's pretty accurate. It's pretty accurate. But they go all out in that thing. But this it looks as though they made sure they gave every attention to detail. Gordo, I believe is the monster's name, the forearm monster. He looks amazing. I will say this. It's funny that you like Makad Brooks, but not Jax. I love Jax, but do not like Makad Brooks. So I remember not being happy about his casting, but then I remember Jax is never really a big character in Mortal Kombat, like a huge focus. I will say it looks like Sub-Zero is how Jax becomes Jax. I was a little disappointed once I saw Goro, because I'm like, I kind of wanted them to show Goro taking Jax by the arms and ripping his arms off. And I'm like, they're not going to go that route. I was a little disappointed. But Tia.
I'm sure he'll rip somebody in half.
Huh?
I'm sure he'll rip somebody in half.
Oh, for sure. If he don't rip somebody in half, that's my equivalent to not giving me Mephisto. I will be very unhappy. But Tia, I'm sure you remember the OG video games from back in the day. Did this excite you to see how accurate it looks as though they're getting with this Mortal Kombat movie?
So I don't mean to be a Debbie Downer. Like, hearing Dom talk so like highly, I was like, oh man. I was never a Mortal Kombat person. I like Tekken. I played Tekken growing up. I was a Tekken person. I got, probably just because maybe, just went to freaking Best Buy and just grabbed whatever game and got that. And I really like Tekken. I've played a few of those and always enjoyed that. I, of course, know about Mortal Kombat because I feel like the whole finish him, is so like ingrained in our like video game culture. But I'm gonna be real with you guys. I have only played like one game of Mortal Kombat, maybe like in the summer, because my boyfriend started playing it. And I was like, oh yeah, we can play a game against each other. And then I was like, can we download Tekken and we'll just play that? So I don't really know anything about Mortal Kombat. I will admit that the trailer looked a little corny to me, but I want people to enjoy this because I want people to. John just like went away. That's what I'm saying. It's like I don't want to be a Debbie Downer because I want people who enjoy Mortal Kombat to get everything out of this that they want. It's just not my movie. I wanted to ask you guys a question. I saw trending on Twitter that people really upset that they didn't see the inclusion of Johnny Cage or something like that. What do you guys think about the fact that they're not seeing that? Because I will admit that I think I know who that character is, because in the video game that I played like in the summer, they had this like, but okay, two things. This like Johnny Cage, in at least in the snippet that I watched, looked like the most annoying character ever. And how skimpy the women's clothing, like, and I don't mean to go there, right? I swear I'm not trying to like be like that, but I was like, that girl's wearing like pasties and she's supposed to be fighting. Come on. And again, me as a Tekken fan, I'm not going to sit here and say that that wasn't the case like in the early Tekken games. Like, I know this, all right? I'm not saying it's just in Mortal Kombat, but I was watching this going, what the hell? Come on. So I mean, at least it's nice in the trailer that the girl is wearing clothes.
I did see someone else say that, and my response to them was, you rarely had guys wear shirts at all in any of those fighting games. So I'm like, it's pretty apropos that, you know, to balance out the look of it, it's kind of like not really having clothes, no shirt whatsoever. So it's kind of like, it's supposed to be appealing to both sides, I assume.
Yeah, and I get that. But that even too is just like, you're fighting against a guy who could literally like freeze people. You need some protection. What's going
they're
on
just
here?
like, they're just like, nah. Most of them don't even wear shoes. They're just, I didn't even bring shoes to this. Like, I don't even take you seriously. But no, Joel was very upset to not see Johnny Cage. He is a very important character to Mortal Kombat. But the good news is, it does seem as though this movie, because this movie's focus has shifted from what we know the focus of Mortal Kombat to be, which is Liu Kang. They're bringing in a whole new character and focusing on him. So Johnny does seem like the kind of guy that's on the outside looking in. That will be in a sequel. Right. Or it could be a surprise. They could surprise us with Johnny being in this. It's very possible, but not really likely. It just seems like he might be more of a sequel kind of guy, which to me is cool as long as I get him.
I don't like Johnny Cage. He's my least used character of all time.
He seems like such a douche.
Mad corny. He looked mad corny. He looked the least cool. And I know exactly why people are mad about it. And it's the same reason why people get mad about other shit. They're like, I don't see any white people in there. I know that's why they're mad. But no, he's a corny dude. Like, you have all these dudes that look cool, and you have a guy who was wearing like pants and sunglasses. Get out of here! I don't want you.
Joel is definitely gonna fight you back on that for sure. Joel is gonna fist fight you for that, Dom. But I always thought of it like, you just got a trailer where you saw Scorpion and Sub-Zero in all of their glory, and you're like, I didn't get Johnny Cage. It's like, really? All right. I was more upset that we didn't get Baraka. I wanted Baraka. You remember Baraka, Dom?
Yeah, he definitely should be in there. I assume that they have some things up their sleeve, because there are so many characters, especially with the way they're trying to make it brutal. Mm-hmm. There's gonna be some characters that are probably maybe not be like a focus, but we'll see them in the background fighting, and they'll focus in on a scene where you see Baraka slice somebody in half, but he's not really mentioned in the story. But you're like, hey, that's Baraka. So I know there's gonna be something like that in the story, because there's so many characters that don't necessarily need a storyline, but are there, and I'm sure that they'll include it somewhere.
Yeah, I do want to point out, I pointed this out on our breakdown, but I pointed out here, I didn't like how much fan service they gave in this trailer, only because some things should have just been saved for the movie. Get over here and I am Sub-Zero. I didn't need in this trailer. Like, you don't have to sell me with catchphrases. You just had to sell me with seeing the fatalities. I didn't even like how his "get over here" was delivered. It reminded, because it's so out of context, it reminded me of when that last Terminator trailer came out and you hear Sarah Connor going, "I'll be back." It sounds corny because it's out of context, right? But when you watch the movie, you're like, oh, okay, it flowed a lot better. To me, I would have preferred to get that in context. Like, picture if Kevin Feige gave us an Avengers Endgame trailer, right? And the trailer ended with Avengers Assemble. No,
Oh my
you
God,
don't
I'd be
put that in
so
the
mad.
trailer.
You don't reveal
Yeah,
that
you don't
in the
put that in the
trailer.
trailer. You give that to us in the movie. I'm not comparing Get Over Here to Avengers Assemble, but that is any fan of Mortal Kombat, even if you're not a fan, like you've heard them, Get Over Here. And that's something you wanted to kind of just feel in the moment of the movie. And another thing I didn't like, their masks are so goddamn bulky.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be skin tight. Don't have it bulky like that. It just stuck out to me so much watching them. It's just like, it looks so bad.
That's one thing
I
I've
will
always
say,
noticed. Oh, go ahead.
no, I'm sorry, Dom, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, I've always kind of thought that, like, as the games got the newer games came out and they have so much gear on, I'm like, how are you fighting with like 6 swords, a chain, a flak jacket, a backpack, a tank? Like, you can't throw that shit on you. Like, what's going on? Yeah, so I don't know why they I get it that it's supposed to be like things you would actually use and look, it'll be mod, but yeah, you can't be so bulky that, like, if I punch you in the face, you're not gonna feel it because you're wearing a football face mask.
Right,
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Make it, like, to me, I don't mind the design of it, but just make it more skin tight. Because when they talk, you see that whole thing going up and down. That irritated me. I don't mind if it's skin tight. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it was hard for them to breathe in it. Who knows? But that stuck out to me, and I did not like that. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tia.
Oh no, I was just gonna say I like at least seeing that Louis Tan and Ludi Lin are getting more roles. I think that those are two guys who certainly deserve it. I don't know if you know this. I think like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I actually interviewed Ludi Lin, and
Yep.
he was really great. And Louis Tan is so talented. I don't know if anyone here watched the oh my God, what the hell was the Netflix show called? Not
I know what
Warrior.
you're talking about. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Oh, Woo Assassins.
Yeah, it was something like that. I couldn't get through it. It looked, to me, I don't like when you're making an Asian adaptation American, and I don't mean American in dialogue. I mean American in appeal, to where you're trying to cater to Americans. So you're doing the quips and stuff that you think like us Americans think are funny, and it's just like,
The only thing I'll say about Woo Assassin is that it didn't need the mystical aspect of it. Like if you watched it, it could have been just a badass fight show, right? The fights were legit. You know, they had already like the problems that they were handling. You know, like it could have just been like this really cool like street level sort of gangster thing or whatever with awesome martial arts, and then suddenly they added this like mystical thing, and I was like, you didn't need that.
well,
But
go ahead.
Louis Tan was in it, and he displayed like really just fantastic fight scenes, and so that's why I was like, and I mean, we only saw him for like one episode in Iron Fist, but if you really want to see him fight, Woo Assassins.
Yes, Tia did interview Ludi, so he is dear to GVN, and Louis Tan retweeted Joel, and made
Oh
like
shit.
a whole tweet about it last year, or the year before, about One Piece. Joel was fan casting the animated show One Piece, so he retweeted it in his support of the character Joel selected for him. So love both of those guys. Both of those guys
Yeah.
are GVN. But Tia, if you want to see a non-mystical ass whipping martial arts show, watch Warrior on HBO Max.
With Andrew Koji, right?
That is my boy. Say it again, Tia. Andrew Koji. Love me some Andrew Koji, but also Joe, who plays Sub-Zero, is a main character in that show. And if you watch Warrior, you'll see why they called him about Sub-Zero. 100%. Just his swagger, everything about him is so cool that it's like, you'd be a good Sub-Zero. Joel also, just for our listeners out there, Joel brought up a really good point. Joe is playing the original Sub-Zero. So it's a really good chance that his Sub-Zero dies in this movie. And then we see the more current, newer version of Sub-Zero going forward. Trayvon flirted with the idea that maybe Louis Tan's character will kind of rise up to being the new Sub-Zero. I just say this, whoever his character is supposed to be, I hope it lives up to the fact that you're not giving Liu Kang that main spot. You're giving this new character that main spot. So I just hope whatever power he has, whatever he turns into is well worth it. Because seeing Liu Kang kind of to the side really rubbed me the wrong way. But since I love Louis Tan, I'm like, for you, I'm open to it. But seeing a story of Mortal Kombat where it's kind of like, yeah, Liu Kang, yeah, he exists, but no, yeah, he's over there. Like, I don't like none of that. So I can't wait for this movie. We will all be watching it and breaking it down. I'll probably go out and buy Mortal Kombat 11. I'm definitely gonna buy it for Tia. Make her play it religiously.
Hey, maybe if Mortal Kombat does well, maybe we'll get like a Tekken. I'm sorry, I'm gonna
Just
sit
about
here
to
in my
say
little
that.
bubble, loving Tekken and all
No,
that.
don't get
So
me wrong. Tekken is one
Tekken
of
was
the
fine.
OGs. It's one of the. It's right. It's like it's honestly, this is how I grade it. It's Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, Tekken, but it's not like Tekken is in third spot. That's like 1A, 1B, 1C.
Right.
That's how iconic all three of those games are. So if this does good, it opens the world for everything. You know what I'm saying? For everything. Joel was saying he wanted a God of War movie.
That would be a really, honestly, like I've not played that often, but just knowing the story, I mean, that's kind of a no-brainer, I feel like, for a movie adaptation
I would
or
say
a series even.
I would say since Sony didn't start with it, a lot of pressure is on this Uncharted film with Tom Holland. If that does really well, I could see Sony dipping more into their exclusive IPs and doing. Because I tell you this right now, if someone fan casts Jason Momoa and he sees it and he petitions for it, Sony will call him tomorrow and we'll hear about a writer being attached, a showrunner. Like
He'd be
we'll
so
hear
fantastic.
yeah, we'll hear about that immediately. He honestly, like we were talking about, it was kind of like Batista, Jason Momoa, guys like that could not only pull off the bald look, but have the physique of being Kratos. So to me, it's like it's a no-brainer. God of War has to be next on
That'd be
deck.
a good series if they kind of played it out like Spartacus, where it's very raw and real brutal.
I slightly disagree with you. I kind of would prefer. I will only accept God of War as a series if Sony works to deal with HBO because of how beautiful HBO can make a world look. Yeah. But the only reason why I'm like I prefer it to be a movie, that budget's gonna have to be sky high. I think a lot of people forget it's not easy to make those gods that are statues turn real look good.
Yeah,
like, that's a lot of money. So to me, HBO is the only one that I think could afford that for a show, and I kind of would prefer Jason Momoa to do a movie. And I think if you do a series, you can cater it more to the fans. But if you do a movie, you can get that big old budget, make it look beautiful. And to me, I don't need the story to be good. I need the action to be good. I need him ripping heads off gods. That's what I need. I'm just picturing it in my brain now. Jason Momoa on the poster for God of War holding the two swords, where you don't see his face. It's just a shot of like him from behind holding. Beautiful. But yeah, Mortal Kombat will definitely expand what Sonic did and what Detective Pikachu did, which is opening up people's eyes for video games turned into movies that are successful. So it's a lot of pressure on Mortal Kombat because if you fuck this up, we won't ever see Tekken or Street Fighter. Because you'll have people like, well, if you couldn't do Mortal Kombat, well, can I trust someone to do Tekken? You know what I'm saying? So here's to hoping Mortal Kombat does great, box office hit, streaming hit really, because no one can go to theaters. Streaming hit. And we get a fast track sequel, and they continue to do video game movies. So here's to that. But all right, let's move on to the big trailer that dropped. Tia, I'm gonna start with you. I know, Tia, you not only cried, you were remorseful a little bit. I heard you saying sorry a lot, so I'm gonna go to you, let you kick off your thoughts on the Snydercut trailer that we got Sunday for Valentine's Day. It's okay, you can be.
I mean, to be honest, I don't remember a lot from the trailer.
Oh my goodness, Tia.
I mean, I was watching it, and you know, I I don't have a huge emotional attachment to this movie. I hope that I hope that people who really wanted this movie are excited for it. I will say that I don't know where I'm even like going with this or anything. I guess I'll just talk about the one thing is that a lot of people were freaking out seeing Jared Leto return as the Joker in that final scene. And I'm sorry, I was totally out of the loop. I did not understand why Twitter was making such a big deal over the Joker saying we live in a society. I was like, I don't get it. Someone give me the answer to why everyone's freaking out in this. But I just couldn't get like a very good look at the Joker. There's something with Zack Snyder's like how he did the trailer and the lighting and everything that just really was blocking it. And maybe he's doing that on purpose. So, obviously you have to watch the actual movie to see the real details with it. It's going to be interesting. I like, did Jared Leto come back to do reshoots? Was he always intended on being in his version of Justice League? Um, I so I don't know. Like, there's a whole. I know that you probably like freaked out while watching it and all that. It's just not my cup of tea. And I think I said that on Twitter. I was like, it's not my cup of tea, but you guys enjoy pretty much. And I will watch it because, this is something that people have been talking. I feel like we've been talking about this forever for the past like 4
I
years.
feel like as
So
long as I've known you, there's been talk of a Snyder cut, and it's
the Snyder Cut. So I feel like, all right, I have to watch it and see what everyone's like going on about and all that. But it is interesting seeing like a lot of scenes that we didn't see in the 2017 version of Justice League, such as Barry saving Iris, the scenes with Darkseid and Steppenwolf and everything. So it is going to be interesting to see what the plot is really of Zack Snyder's, because I feel like I could never get that. I can never get what the real plot really is when it comes to this trailer. Maybe I'm just not paying attention enough, but I really feel like I'm watching it and I don't really truly understand what the actual plot to the movie is.
well, this is from the outside looking in. The plot isn't different than the theatrical.
Okay.
The movie is just like the whole plot of this seems to be the same, which is Steppenwolf has to go retrieve the mother boxes for Darkseid. The Justice League has to stop him. It's just everything else around it is different, but that is the constant. Is that he's searching for the mother boxes. Now the context we didn't really get from the theatrical cut was who was he retrieving them for? It kind of seemed like Steppenwolf wanted them. So now we kind of have the idea that it's for Darkseid. Darkseid obviously sent them. Darkseid's keeping tabs on them. So we have a clear idea. But it seems like the plot is the same. It's Steppenwolf retrieving the mother boxes. Now, to your point of Joker, I caught every detail. He no longer has tattoos. It seems as though he caked himself up to cover those tats. Or it could be because this is a nightmare scenario that his Joker never looked like the one from Suicide Squad. But the biggest thing to me was that I noticed was when he talked, he had a lisp. Now, you guys remember he had grills in Suicide Squad. This could be the Joker that isn't that far removed from killing Robin, and Batman has punched out all his teeth. Like when
Right.
you hear him talk, it kind of sounds like, I could be reaching here. I'm admitting it. It just sounds like he has a lisp. But the society thing, I think was just like a play off of like a trope of like, we are a society, you know, a society that doesn't really get it, blah blah blah.
Yeah, I kind of like got that. Like people kind of explain it, but I'm like, I don't understand why that's like such a freak. I don't know. Maybe I just didn't understand it. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting thing for sure. I think the most interesting thing about Zack Snyder's cut is what's going to happen afterwards as far as the fandom. Like, what are they going to ask for after this comes out? Will they be satisfied with this
No,
4-hour
Thea,
movie?
they already were like, bring him back to do another Justice League, and I'm like,
It's not going to happen. Zach has already said like 1,000 times it's not going to happen.
but this is what I don't like. Like, for example, right? If Kevin Feige decides to bring back, we're not going to get into everybody because that's one of our topics. But let's say Daredevil is in Spider-Man, right?
Right.
We can't get greedy. We can't then go, well, you now have to bring back Vincent D'Onofrio. You have to bring back Karen. We wanted Daredevil back. We may get it. That's the end of it. That's where we have to draw the line.
Well, I draw the line at Charlie Cox and John Bernthal, you know, as Punisher, and
Right,
then I'm okay.
That's what I'm saying. So if you're getting back Charlie Cox, let's draw the line there and be grateful. Let's not say, well, now Vincent has to come back, and now Falk. Let's just appreciate, because Feige could have recast it. Warner Brothers could have said, to hell with you, Snyder, you know, cult fans. So let's just be grateful that you got what you wanted, and let's just see how it plays out. If it's great and they want to bring him back, we'll face that bridge when we come to it. I don't need it. I don't need him to come back, because I do believe, and this is sounding crazy because we may interview him next month, but I think his vision was flawed. And if we do get a chance to talk to him, I will ask him, how are you building a Justice League universe where your plan was to ultimately kill Batman? What universe do we have a Justice League with no Bat? So his vision kind of just seemed out there, right? But I always say this. I know a lot of people disagree with me. I think he is a visual mastermind. The way he plays off of the dark element is beautiful, because when you read these comics, that's how the comics look. They're that dark. So I love how he portrays that on the screen. Could he lighten a few things up so we could see a few things a lot better? Sure. But go ahead.
I did want to point. It's funny you say that, right? Because I was going back and rewatching some clips from 300, right? Which was, to me, I think a wonderful movie. I love 300, which is a Zack Snyder movie, and it is quite dark in a sense. But even though it's dark, you can still like see shit. Like, and you guys know that this is always my problem with like his version of the DC movies. Like, why is it so dark? And it's like, I don't mean in context of like the actual story. I feel like when you say, oh, DC's too dark, they literally are like, you stupid Marvel fan, you want everything happy-go-lucky. I'm like, no, you can be as dark as you want in context, but I need you to lighten the shit up a little so I can actually freaking see what's going on. So it's like, we know that Zach can make movies that are dark where they're a little bit more colorful. We saw that happen in 300. Why does it seem like, and I even thought this in the Zack Snyder trailer that we just got, why do so many of the colors feel muted in a sense? I don't understand that, but that's just, I guess, an aesthetic decision that they decided. But yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think, by the way, of the whole report that what's his name? Harry Lennox, is that his name?
Henry Lennox.
Where he was like, he didn't even realize that he was playing Martian Manhunter. So I mean, that's gonna be interesting if he's playing a character and he didn't even realize that he was playing another character. Like how does that work in scenery? You know, like I don't know.
I think more so because he even said he's not physically Martian Manhunter. They brought someone else in to physically be Martian Manhunter. So he might have just provided dialogue and not really, like, if he doesn't say, my name is Martian Manhunter, and it's just dialogue, and we see him, and that's how we know he's Martian Manhunter. That could be how he was in the dark, because we know from the Mandalorian they didn't know that they were looking at Luke. They didn't even know that was going to be Luke. That wasn't in the script.
Right.
So they place things in, and you kind of have to act around it.
Right.
So that could have been, and I'm not saying that's what it was. I obviously wasn't there. I'm just guessing. But Martian Manhunter is someone that, since Justice League Unlimited, it's like, why have we not seen more of this character?
He was a great character. I loved it. I love Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. Those are cartoons I grew up on, and him, getting Hawk Girl and has always been something that I've wanted to see. And I know that Joelle is hard pressed on getting Green Lantern and is so upset that, there was a Justice League movie without Green Lantern.
Yeah, he was really upset that there's no Green Lantern. Like, that's one of his questions if we do talk to Zach. Like, fuck is up, guy? Where is he? But yeah, I really love this trailer. Seeing Granny Goodness might have brought me the only tear I've ever had watching something DC. If you guys out there don't know of Granny Goodness, watch Justice League Unlimited. There's a few episodes there, or watch Batman, Superman. I think it's Apocalypse. I can't remember what it was, but it's the animated movie where Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman go to Apocalypse to take on Darkseid and Granny Goodness and the Furies. She is an amazing character. And Tia, you would love it. The guy that trained Granny Goodness was like, all right, as a testament, you have to kill your favorite dog. And she was just like, ha, I'll kill you instead. Like, that's how dope Granny Goodness is. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of Granny Goodness. So in Darkseid, I will say this. I don't like when Darkseid and Thanos aren't bigger. So it kind of looks like
I heard you say that in your thing with Pete.
I don't like when they don't tower the heroes, because, it looks like Superman is about the same height as Darkseid. I don't like that. I don't like the visual of that. So to me, I kind of like the David of Goliath feel, David versus Goliath feel. So hopefully, maybe he looks a little bit different, but this is going to be 4 hours. So I don't even know where to begin on what Zach's giving us that we didn't get in that 2-hour cut. That was the theatrical release. I love it all. Now, Dom, I'm going to pass it to you. My biggest theory, man. Remember in the theatrical version where Bruce first went to sleep and it entered the nightmare scenario where they set him up with the kryptonite and Superman killed 2 of his guys and then went to Bruce. Remember how he said, she was my everything and you took her from me. And then he collapsed his lung.
Yeah.
I have the theory, and Joel told me I'm far-fetched here. I don't care. I'm sticking with it. I have the theory that we could possibly see, just so you guys know, I'm bringing in Patrick and Clay. They wanted to join us for this.
Yeah.
I have the theory that we could see Superman in this nightmare scenario rip his arm through Joker like in Injustice. And I can't get that out of my head, because remember, in Injustice, Superman was saying, because if anyone's not familiar with Injustice, the comic book, in that comic, the whole premise of it was Joker had a dirty bomb that he put in, God, what's the city that Clark Kent lives in? Just went blank. Can't remember. But anyway, he put the bomb in that city, and what he did was he sprayed Superman with some toxic, to where every time he saw Lois looked like a villain of his. So Superman flew her all the way out to space, not knowing it was her. And when he looked at her, she was floating in space dying, right? So he blamed Joker for that. So after he killed Joker, he blamed Batman for not killing Joker a long time ago. So this event would have never happened. So when I look at this Snydercut trailer, I'm like, it's possible Joker being here means more to Superman than it does Batman. Looks more like Batman's has him in protective custody, is what I got from that. Like, he was trying to keep him away from somebody. So that's why they're teaming up. So I wanted to throw that theory to you, Dom. But first, I wanted to welcome in, from Kinda Nerdy Dudes and Kinda Nerdy Girls, KJ, Patrick, and Clay. What's going on?
Hi guys.
What's
Hey,
up,
everybody.
man?
Wanted to welcome you guys in before we get too deep in this rabbit hole of this trailer.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Didn't want you guys just sitting there for forever. But
No.
Tom, I'm gonna go to you. Your thoughts on my theory, and then your thoughts on the trailer.
That's a really good theory, because it did look very much like Batman and Joker were meeting up in some form or fashion, and I'm glad that Joker's in there because, I mean, I don't want to say they're the same person, but they're the same person. Like they're the yin and yang. You know, and if I see Batman, I need to see Joker just a little bit, even if he's not this, big part of the film. He's got to be there in some form because I feel like he's that kind of driving force. He's that reminder of like, this is why I do this shit, because this guy's crazy, and I gotta remind myself not to go to the point where he's been. I had just watched The Killing Joke not that long ago. I was reading The Batman Who Laughs, and there's always that line that Batman walks, and that's why him and Joker are so intangible. And I remember taking at a Comic-Con psychology of Batman, and it was all about how Batman and Joker, like who's the real bad guy and who's the real good guy, or are both of them bad? It's kind of that, it's a philosophical conversation. But no, I thought the only thing of the trailer that looked weird to me is, you know how the girls out there may know, if you get hat-fished, right? A guy like me who you don't realize is bald, I take my hat off and, oh shit, you're bald. Like you see me for years with a hat on. When I seen Steppenwolf, his actual head,
It looks so weird. Like, I'm sorry. Am I the only one? And I'm gonna try and keep this PG right now, but did anyone think that like he looked like some phallic sort of like the skin? I was like, I'm uncomfortable.
I thought Darkseid looked dope though. I don't know how his aesthetic comes about, but it has this like gothic appeal to it that really appeals to me. So visually, it looks great. I like the dystopian look of it. I love the nightmare Batman. Like that's one of my favorite Batman suits. I don't know what it is about the goggles and the jacket that just
trench coat.
Yeah. But no, I'm very. Your theory is really interesting though.
Right. I'm telling you, bro. I really do think about how hardcore of a director Zach is, right? And the fact that whole scene where he's like, she meant everything to me and you took her from me. Again, everyone tells me I'm crazy for putting the parallels between that and Injustice. But I promise you guys, if you read the first issue of Injustice and how that whole thing started, it just reeks similarities here, and I'm not saying it'll be exactly like it, but is it out of the realm of possibility that Superman could rip his arm through Joker's body? No. In the theatrical cut, he lasered two of Batman's friends to death, and then he collapsed Batman's lung. So it's not far-fetched to believe that we could possibly see that.
Yeah, and I mean, knowing how Jared Leto's personality is, I can see him wanting to go out like that. He is a guy who is, I don't even know how to describe Jared Leto, but he's a little out there. And
interesting.
Yeah, and his whole beef before was like he just didn't get to portray the Joker the way he wanted to for long enough.
Right.
If he gets to go out that way and gets to portray this like maniacal dude who's in Batman's head and he's in Superman's head and gets to go out that way, hell yeah, I want to see that. And I can definitely see him saying, hey, that right there, I want that. If I'm gonna go out, put me out that way. So yeah, like I wasn't as hyped about it before, but now that you've put that theory in my head, I really want to see it now. I want to see if
right. Like a part of me will be disappointed if it's not there, but like I think that I've worked myself into it. It's kind of like, all right, if it's not there, how upset will I be? But to me, it just like it. That's the ultimate nightmare. Think about what Batman's doing in Justice League by reviving Superman. He understands how important that symbol of hope is. So picture if in his nightmare, Superman's evil. Like the hope is gone. He's like this totalitarian that's just ruling over everybody. With an iron fist. That wouldn't that be Batman's ultimate nightmare? Superman killing? Just saying.
And I think the only downside for the movie is going to be all the comparisons to the Avengers movie, because you have Darkseid like, go get my mother boxes, and then if he fails, I'll do it myself. So comparisons are going to be there, but we know that Marvel and DC have always been like that anyway. So the true comic fans, well, we won't care that much because
What's
we
funny
know
is
that a lot of the storylines are similar. The characters are similar. It's just that one is overtly darker, and the other one is like darker, but you don't realize it till you think back like, so she destroyed everybody. It's darker than I thought it was gonna. You know what I mean?
That's exactly how Marvel is. By the way, you're like, everything's so fine. You're like, oh wait, that's actually really messed up. Okay.
Yes. Right.
Yeah.
That is one thing I wanted to add, Dom, that I do believe comic-wise, Darkseid came first, Thanos came after.
Yeah.
But I always tell people don't ever compare. Darkseid is the superior of the two. Darkseid doesn't need a magical glove to murder half a universe. He's good in his sleep.
Isn't he half the time really not even there? That's like a projection of himself because he's so powerful. He's just like, I'll have my fart go fight you.
Yeah, right. This is how I quantify Darkseid, right? I believe on
which comic is that in?
So interesting, Tom.
It's the Bathroom Chronicles for DC. I always project it to where I'm like, I do believe if they did like a cross promotion, Superman could defeat Thanos, with or without the glove, right?
Yeah.
Show me one time Superman's defeated Darkseid. Rare. Very rare. Don't happen like that. Darkseid don't play none of them games. So that's why I'm like, Darkseid is superior. But it's funny, Darkseid came first in the comics, but Thanos came first in movie continuity. So it's like, we got you. Suck it, DC. But all right, I want to go to you. Did you check out the Snydercut trailer that weirdly dropped on Valentine's Day? Because nothing puts you in the loving mood like seeing Dark and Brooding, right?
Was that to me? I'm sorry.
Yeah, to you, Clay.
Yeah, I did, and I think it sounds like I took a same result as Dom. Like this trailer was the first time that I felt like I'm interested in this now, right? I think the there's usually another kind of nerdy dude, and we like our running joke is like he's always the DC apologist and their champion, and we always just rake him over the coals incessantly because it's DC, right? And the movies are what they are, and so we keep teasing him about this Snyder cut. But I will say, like, that trailer, I don't know what it is. I'm interested, right? I'm cautiously optimistic. I did feel like that Joker, and you may have covered this or mentioned this. I came in late. My apologies. But he's part of Batman's nightmare sequence, right? Like, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Tia, I actually feel a bit vindicated when it comes to you because remember we had the conversation of I remember I said Batman and Joker should always have some sort of interaction. And I think it might have been you that was like, well, him on top of the car, that was an interaction. And
That's what I said.
Right. Yeah. I just listened to Zach go, that's not an interaction. Like they have to actually looking at one another interact.
I didn't know that they had to like lovingly. I didn't know that they had to lovingly gaze into each other's eyes. Like,
right.
I mean, Joker tried to kill Batman in Suicide Squad. That apparently that's not an interaction. So now I know. Next time, now I know. I'd be like,
not at all.
Well, it wasn't an interaction.
Not at all. So if you see in Falcon and Winter Soldier Zemo just on the hood of their car. And they're like, that's all you get. That's not an interaction. I need to see them square off. That's a true interaction. But no, to your point, Clay, I said this before you guys came in. If you listen closely, it sounds like he has a lisp when he's talking to Batman at the end of that trailer. So this could be, in terms of the nightmare scenario, not too far off after he killed Robin. This could have been after Batman punched out like a good amount of his teeth. because we know he did that in Suicide Squad because Joker had that grill. That grill was replacing the missing teeth. And obviously he coated himself with a lot of paint to cover the damage and the J tattoo. So it does look like Zack Snyder wanted more of a classical look for Joker with the long hair and stuff like that.
I know this is going to have a 4-hour runtime. What
Right.
was the runtime of the original theatrical?
2 hours, and that was
Okay.
only because the studio said make it 2 hours exactly, not a second over, so we can get
Okay.
our bonuses. So it being 4 hours is like, what are you giving us? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that was again, like the takeaway from the trailer. I feel like they're really going to have the ability to expand on that story. And I think that, we had a conversation about Zack Snyder, and I felt like, Zack is such an amazing artist, and he paints such a beautiful screen, right? The imagery is amazing, but I think sometimes he's limited in his ability to connect the dots to get the characters in that place, right? Like he just knows I want everybody to be here and I want it to look like this, and he accomplishes that. But sometimes, like, the motive of a particular character in that scene may not necessarily land because he hasn't had the ability to flesh out that story. So
Yeah.
giving him 2 hours, I'm excited to see if he can bring out all of that together.
I love how you're talking like it's more like he does more like the paint by numbers thing, or like the like the children's connect the dot book, as opposed to like other directors that can do it like a Van Gogh, right?
Or,
It's funny you
Yeah.
say that though, Patrick, because I do always view Zack, as far as directing wise, as a visual genius. Like he could,
Yes.
like Clay just said, he could make the painting look amazing. It's just when you go and you ask him, you're like, hey, can you kind of tell me about this painting? No.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's kind
Look
of
at
like,
it. Yeah.
Just look at it. You can't tell?
it's like if you've written like a story, right? And you're writing a story and you're like, you write, and you're like, I know I want them to get here, but I don't know how to do that. And I've literally done this where I go back and look at my stories and I'm like reading, and then I literally have in parentheses right in between here, and then it jumps. So it's like it's like, all right, and this happens and they get there. All right, how they get there later. And then he never writes the how they got there.
I really do think he focuses on true comic book fans will love the visual aesthetic of it, that they won't really think too deep into how they got there. They'll just be happy they got there. And we're kind of like, Zack, our books had words. They weren't just pictures.
Right.
I'm only kind of nerdy.
Story.
You got to connect those dots for me. Yeah.
It's like, we like words, Zack. Don't just put visual things. But KJ and Patrick, for you guys to end us on this Snydercut trailer topic, what did you guys think of the trailer?
Go ahead.
You want me to go? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I'm glad that we came in when we did, because your theory is the first time that I have any excitement about Joker being there. I really have just felt like the whole time, like, why are we shoving Joker into this? And even in the trailer, I'm like, okay, like I didn't expect the trailer to explain to me why Joker's in the movie. But I was still like, I still don't get what Joker's doing here. So I, you talking about where the Joker could fit. I hope that's how Zack connected the dots. I really do. Otherwise, I'm gonna be like, yeah, I don't know what Joker was doing there again.
I want to check if that's how those dots are connected, Zack. I want to check.
Yeah.
But yeah, to me, I'm with you, because part of me is kind of like, what's the true necessity for it?
Yeah.
But every time the Joker talks, it just draws me. I swear it draws me in. It could be the worst script ever, and then like you get a good actor to play Joker, and they say the right thing, you got me. So him kind of saying like, honor, it's gone. Like he was kind of saying like, to me, how I took it was like, welcome to how we see things, Batman. We live in a world where the word honor means nothing. Welcome to the pit, the straight bottom of how the real world is. Like you have the luxury of being the guy that could just beat up on a mentally ill and everyone's like, yeah, hero. Now welcome to a world where none of that matters. No one cares, So that's kind of how I saw that. And I'm just like, even when they showed Batman kind of like turning around to him, like that might not even be the same shot, but him just turning around slowly. And another thing I think is really cool on Batman's gun in the theatrical version, he has a Joker card taped to that gun. So I'm like,
yeah.
I wonder what the connection there is. Like, is that a memory of Joker that Batman's always has that in his mind to kind of put things in proper focus? Or was it like he kind of understood Joker on his way out and it's kind of like, this is how I'll remember him, like
They're best
interesting,
besties.
right?
Yeah.
Like, hey,
Oh man, now I kind of miss that guy.
right?
Oh my God, it's
Killed
like
a
Lego
lot.
Batman movie all over again.
Right? It's like he killed a lot of people, but I love that guy.
Right?
But Patrick, how did you like this trailer?
I'm a little bit more interested than what I was originally. I'm still super concerned about introducing so many more antagonists into the plot, because I mean, like it was hard enough with just the bad CGI Steppenwolf, and then like all the other subplots that were going on, and now you're introducing more villains into this. So like put this cabal of villains together and have the Justice League fight them. Okay, that I get where they're trying to go with this, but at the same time, I think I just look back traditionally that when you look at movies that have had multiple villains in them, it convolutes the end result more often than not. Now, I hope I'm wrong in this, but I'm just hoping that it's not completely convoluted. As far as the characters go, I'm excited to see more of Affleck's Batman in it. With the Joker part of the trailer, I'm interested a little bit more in that, because like I said, was Leto a great Joker? Yeah, I respect the fact what DC was trying to do, taking that big swing with him in Suicide Squad, and they're bringing him back. Like I respect what they tried to do there. But as far as the other, like Wonder Woman, amazing. Aquaman, Flash, and Superman. Especially how I feel about Superman. It's just like, oh, you're wearing a black suit. Ooh, like whatever. Like just I want the story to actually grow, and I'm really concerned about having too many antagonists.
Well, the black suit to me was a deal breaker in why I didn't enjoy the theatrical version. You read the comics, Death of Superman. When he came back, it was in that black suit. And what frustrated me about Superman dying and coming back in that same Superman suit was, I think Josh Whedon thought we were all just completely stupid. Superman got stabbed through the suit in BVS.
Right.
No one brought up the fact that suit was perfectly stitched and brand new in that theatrical version.
Right.
So the black suit means a lot, because in the comics, that's what he came back in. He had the long hair. He came back in that black suit, but more so because the other suit should still be damaged. Like you didn't have time to come back, fix it, sew it together, and then go out and fight Steppenwolf.
Oh man, I wish that was some of the extra scenes in this.
Right?
Yeah,
right. To see him knitting.
Aquaman, get over here. Yeah.
I have a theory. I have a theory on how that happened. It's like, where's Martha?
Yeah.
Oh, I got this, honey.
Right.
Little Neil and
You know what's
thread,
crazy?
and we got this.
I had a crazier theory on how he could have gotten that suit fixed. Like, we know at some point he meets up with Alfred. Picture if he just goes, Bruce said I could ask you for anything. Do you mind sewing
Yeah.
this back together for me?
And Alfred would be like, "No worries, we actually have 5 extra
Right, we
suits
have
because
5
Lucy wants to be paired."
The story made it so Bruce expected you to come back. So I made
Right.
it for you. But no, I don't think introducing more antagonists will be a problem, mainly because I think all the Darkseid scenes are either Nightmare or they're before present day. So I don't think they'll actually be fighting any of Darkseid and his minions in this. I think this is still the premise of fighting Steppenwolf. They're going up against Steppenwolf and all the little minions. They have actual names, but I'm blanking. Darkseid here is just to give us a better idea on why Steppenwolf is doing all this. I don't think the theatrical version did a good enough job. It's just kind of like, need to find these mother boxes. Why? I don't know. Like, okay.
They look
Right.
pretty.
Right.
Like,
Yep.
yeah, I don't know. It's like, I just landed here, I don't know.
Right.
But anyway, I do hope this is good for the Snyder cult fans, and they're happy enough to maybe go away. Realistically, we know
I would be excited, Juwaan. I think the other thing that in the trailer that stuck out is I was really hopeful for a good story of Cyborg, and it did look like from the trailer that, I mean, we didn't get a lot, but it looks like there's more. That was one of the storylines in the movie that I enjoyed, but wanted it just fell flat. There wasn't enough, but like him and his father, I hope that we get more of that, and seeing the trailer made me feel like maybe we'll actually like have a connection to Cyborg. I don't think we got that, what he wasn't developed enough.
Yeah, I will say it's a give and take with Zach. So for a lot of fans that couldn't really care less about Cyborg, but likes the nostalgia of him, like hearing the booyah, Zach has made it clear we won't get booyah in his cut. He finds those catchy catchphrases to be lame. He's so above that. But Zach apparently is the only person that loves Cyborg, so he is gonna flesh him out. We will see him as a quarterback. We will see him.
I mean, if he's gonna be there, then make him worthwhile.
If I never see Cyborg again, I'd be completely. It's the most boring character I've ever seen.
I don't disagree. I just wish that they would make him interesting if he's going to be there.
So let me get this straight. Cyborg is like your Anthony Mackie in the DC universe. Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Wait, I don't mean to go political here whatsoever, but someone brought this up to me. Earlier this week, someone said, Juwaan, it seems like every podcast you find a way to say you don't like a character that just so happens to be black. And I sat back and I was just like, that's not true. And then I thought about it. I was like, this episode, I just said how much I didn't like Dom. What was the actor? Makad Brooks. And I was just like, oh my God, I do know what that is every episode. Like, I was like, I got to do some inward looking a little bit. A little too often. So for the premise of this, I love Cyborg. And
well, if I could, Juwaan, I really love Joe Morton, who played his dad. I love him as an actor, and so I think that was part of the reason I wanted that story to be told, was because I was like, I'm so excited that Joe Morton is in this, and so I think that was more for me. I've never been like, yay, Cyborg, but when I saw the interaction with them and Joe Morton, I was like, how can you not have a great story with him?
The Doom Patrol version, though, of Cyborg is just fantastic. To me, I feel like that's a great adaptation. Juwaan shaking his head here, but
I'm sorry. Cyborg belongs in one story and one story only, and it's the Teen Titans. I don't like him outside of that. I really don't, because you're making it to be like, all right. So I compare it to everyone trying to say like, oh, Spider-Man should be part of the Young Avengers. It's like, did people forget they just spent this whole time making him an Avenger? Why would they demote him to being head of like the kids' table? No, right. That's a spit in the face. So to me, the opposite of that is Cyborg in the comics is only ever at the kids' table. It wasn't until Jeff Johns did the New 52 run where Cyborg is at the grown-up table, and I'm like, so you took out Martian Manhunter and put in Cyborg, and I'm supposed to be okay with that? No, I don't like it. I don't like it in the Doom Patrol. I don't like it in Justice League. Get him out of there. Put him at the kids' table.
Well, and your first problem was that you were referring to Spider-Man as an Avenger, which he shouldn't be there anyway. So.
Oh my gosh, we're not going down it. You're not hating
Clay,
on Spider-Man.
You were about to say something, Clay.
Yeah. So we're going to ignore what he just said.
For sure.
And man, I'm so infuriated by that. I completely lost what was in my head.
All right,
damn you,
so
Patches.
if it pops back in, let me know. But we're gonna move on. I said this to T and Dom at the top of the show. I have Gina Carano as a topic on here. If you guys don't feel comfortable going into that, not a problem. Me breaking it down is more so talking the overall, not her specifically. So just let me know when I pass it to you. But I'll kick this
Well,
off.
I'm going to bed, but it's not because of Gina Carano. When I disappear, you'd be like, damn, she was like, oh, hell no.
Angel was like, I'm staying away from Gina Carano. But no, so the way I'm going to kick this off is obviously we got the news that Gina Carano has been let go by not only the Mandalorian show, but Disney. I believe, Tia, you told me they're pulling the line of her toys from the Mandalorian because of comments she made, I believe, against it was against trans, and it was also the
anti-Semitic,
right? The comparison she made. I want to talk more so cancel culture, and the reason why I want to talk cancel culture is you guys have to understand, and this isn't specifically to Gina. This is more so all the people we've seen people try to cancel. You guys have to understand, in this society, no shot to Joker, but in this society that we live in, there is a thing called forgiveness and compassion. And what I mean by that is when you fire someone, right? Like if I came out on an episode, like if I came out on this episode and I just said the most flagrant of things, right? And you guys immediately were like, Juwaan will never be a part of GVN again. I'll never be on this podcast. To me, I feel as though that doesn't teach me anything. That hatred that I still have still exists. You know, that backward thinking that I have still exists. To me, the proper thing to do would be a teaching moment, would be to teach and I don't mean of most extreme things, guys. So you're canceling the out there, I understand that.
Right.
I just mean more so of, oh, this is something I tweeted back in 2006. It's 2021 and you're holding me to that. To me, I kind of feel like it's just a learning moment. Teach that person, because to me, like the whole Kevin Hart thing, right? I know, and Don, maybe you could speak to this. I know in Black communities, what he said is what you hear so often in Black communities. So to us, to say that, we're not thinking, oh, we're offending someone. That's just what we grew up hearing all the time. It was used more so like a joke, not more so to oppress anyone, right? So to me, it's like, if that's all a person knows, you got to teach them out of that. Firing them doesn't get them out of that. It doesn't teach them anything. And my comparison to that is whenever you whoop a kid, right? Like kid steals candy out of store, right? You whoop them. You don't ever tell them why it's bad to steal, why it's not good, you know, how it could affect the business, stuff like that. Do you know why that kid won't steal again? Because he fears you'll whoop them, not because he understands that stealing is bad, right? That to me is not how you properly teach someone. You got to get them to understand what they did was wrong and hope that they can move forward understanding not to do that again, right? So to me, it's just like, all right, you fired her. That doesn't change anything that she thinks, you know? Like, we have to explain to her why her rationale is wrong. And if she continues to do what she was doing, that's on her. But at least we gave her a teaching moment for her to understand this is how actual people feel. Hear us, you know? And it just bothers me. We live in a society to where it's like prison isn't how it should be. It's not meant to reform. It really isn't. It's meant to break you. It's meant to break you. It's why people come out and what's the first thing they do? If they went to jail for shoplifting, as soon as they get out, shoplifting again. Why? Because you didn't rehabilitate them while they were in there. You just treated them like a caged monster. It's about learning. It's about teaching these people why the things they did were wrong and teach them how to become better people or more open people, you know? And I don't like the society that we live in that's like, oh, you made a mistake? Nah, you're done. You're done. Don't ever come back. It's like, that's not how the world should work. But unfortunately, in every institution of this world, it's how it works. It really is. You went to jail once when you were 16 and now you can't get a job. Like, that's not how a functioning world should work. So that's how I view this situation. Cancel culture should just look to inform people more than to just write out cancel them. Like, that doesn't, like, if she sees someone that's trans, that's not going to make her go, you know what, I got fired for this. I respect you now. No, she probably still thinks the same thing. She just won't be as open about it.
Or if anything, she's going to be more infuriated by it.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
She'll feel as though that's fueling her. Exactly.
Right.
So to me, I just view it as, you want to teach people so that they can become better people. But when you're not teaching them and you're allowing them to just stew in the craziness that goes on in their heads, nothing good comes from that. And what's the very first thing she did? I'll show you, world. I'll go team up with some other people, so you guys have to hear me.
She can go have fun with Ben Shapiro at the Daily Wire.
No.
I'm sure it's gonna do amazing.
I agree with you, Tia, but my point is, does that sound like someone who's learned their lesson? Does that sound like someone who understands that their words really hurt someone? No, not at all. So that's my point. You want to teach people so that they can become better people. You don't just cancel and throw away people. Now, so people out there don't. I'm not saying, oh, you killed someone. Well, let me just tell you why that's bad and give me a hug. Like, no, obviously there's a line I'm putting here. But I have to put that disclaimer out there because I know someone in the comments going to be like, oh, murder's cool, Juwaan? No, it's not. But all right, so I'm going to pass it on to you, Dom. Again, you can attack this topic however you want.
I don't have a right answer, right? I don't think anybody does. However, I do think that in Gina's case, or anybody who has tweeted or posted something insensitive very recently over the past year, you know what you're doing. You wanted to ruffle some feathers. You wanted to, oh, well, I'm being attacked, so I'm going to show them that this is how I feel. Now, most of us grew up in a society where you didn't necessarily talk politics very much, not openly. And you did it with your close group of friends. You did it within your home, but you don't go out and wear T-shirts and tell everybody this is who I'm for, because it just caused unnecessary friction. Like, I don't care who you vote for, honestly, but like the fact that you are putting in my face, like whatever your thing is, that's when it starts to become an issue. Now, I don't really mess with cancel culture too much, just because, like you said, what is there going to be like a hate island where everybody who's been canceled goes to this island like, well, me too, and then we're just out here and he's got a whole island or state like that's like seceded full of people who've been canceled. You know what I mean? So there does have to be some kind of rehabilitation or some kind of something to let them know, hey, what you did was messed up. Now, you can say whatever the hell you want to say, but just like you can say what you want to say, people can respond how they want to respond too. So if you say some stupid shit, expect a stupid response back. Now,
that's called freedom of speech.
Yeah.
I can respond however I want.
Right, and I know Gina possibly, and so I'm not going to say that she was purposely being malicious, because I don't know her, so I have to assume that she just felt the way. But she also has been in the limelight through sports and entertainment for a long time. You know what to say and what not to say. Like, you're not a person who is usually openly political. I know that she's a devout conservative, and we know that, but like, I can be, in favor of clowns, but you don't see me putting on clown face paint every day. So I just I'm not quite sure what the correct response should be for someone who does something, because like with social media being so big, her saying that, and she's like, say that she drives cars for me, and then as soon as somebody goes to like pick up something, they see her, they're like, well, I don't want to deal with her. So maybe that's why you got to get rid of some people sometimes, because now I don't want to watch Mandalorian because she said that or she did that, or anybody who's done something. Now there is redemption, right? We saw Michael Vick still gets shit on by people because of his situation. He served his time. That's supposed to be like, hey, I did my shit. I paid my debt to society. I'm supposed to get somewhat of a fresh start. So it's that forgive but don't forget type of thing. And he, in some form, he's got back to where he kind of was beforehand with all these different shows he commentates and things like that. So now Gina's response is very weird to like run to somebody like Ben Shapiro, who's like, I've listened to him. He's honestly not as smart as he thinks he is. He doesn't make as many good points as he thinks he does. He just seems like a Tucker Carlson type where he's going to go where the money is. So if me being salacious for the sake of being salacious makes me money, that's what I'm gonna do. Because if people don't know, Tucker Carlson, before he worked for Fox, worked for CNN, and worked for MSNBC, he's bounced around all through all these different places. So all these people, that's what they do. They're shock and jock type of people.
Yep.
Tina's not though. And we've already seen, with history not being told correctly or being watered down, her comparing being a conservative to feeling like you were at Auschwitz, it doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? And that just like make your own memes. If you don't understand the meme, make your own, because clearly she just took something from somebody else and was like, that's it. But yeah, I don't know the right response. I don't know what you do, because like I said before, we didn't have social media, so this wasn't that big of an issue. It was normally some celebrity got caught with their pants down, and that was the thing. It was never what somebody said, you know what I mean? And now I don't usually get offended too much by anybody saying anything, because we could fight and we could solve the issue. So Gina is an ex-fighter. Put her in the ring with Clarissa Shields, and that's her punishment, getting her ass beat, unless she wins. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know what her route to redemption is. We're all gonna forget about it at some point, until we don't. Someone will bring something back up again and whatever. So it's hard. It's a hard lane to traverse. But I don't mess with it, because you can't just shun everybody for saying stupid shit. Because I'm sure back in the day I've said something super stupid. I just probably didn't post it online because I'm an overthinker. So I don't want. I honestly like. That's why I don't tweet that much. I'm trying my best not to end up in an argument, because I don't have the energy to argue. You know what I mean? So I'll type something out, read it a couple times, like, that's stupid. I'm gonna delete that. Type something out. Oh man, that's gonna get me in trouble. You know what I mean? Like, we're all at this point, we're all a brand. Everybody on social media who's trying to make money by way of social media, we're all a brand. And if you know that that's gonna hurt your brand, why even say it? You can feel how you feel, but what's the point of saying it? I don't get it. So yeah, I'm sure. I would say I'm sure that we'll all do better, but people keep stepping in it, because they just have that point of like, fuck it, I don't care. I'm just gonna say what I want to say. But just know there's consequences. You steal some shit, you go to jail. You do some racist, anti-Semitic type things, you get fired, I guess. You know what I mean? So you gotta think twice, man. And it is hard to restrain ourselves sometimes, because I bite my tongue so much, you know what I mean? But I use what I see as a muse that goes into whatever I'm writing. Because if people haven't read my reviews, there's always a social aspect that I write at the beginning and the first paragraph to kind of blend whatever the movie's trying to say with what's going on right now. I try to blend it, and that's how I get out from everything I've witnessed and read and seen on social media into this film. So I feel like that's probably the best route. People have to kind of, you can have discourse without being hateful. You know what I mean? Like, and people got to figure that out. So I feel like I said, I don't know the right response or the right answer to those situations, but definitely like just completely ostracizing a person doesn't help. But if there is like a timeout period, it might, and that gives them that like, hey, go do some sensitivity training or go eat a Snickers. I don't know. They gotta figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I love everything you said, and again, I'm with you. You know, she made those comments knowing the kind of effect it would have, right? So if Disney decided to fire her, no problem. I'm not speaking out against that. I'm of the mindset of, let's say 6 years from now, she's in she gets casted for a DC movie. I don't think, because we don't know her as a person, right? We have no idea. We can only go off of what she says in interviews, what she posts on social media, right? So if she stays away from posting this kind of stuff on social media, she's not saying anything crazy, and 6 years from now, she wants to re-enter this geek world, I don't think we should go, but wait. 6 years ago, no, that's not how we should work. We have no idea what she's done in that time span to become a better person.
Your actions after the fact have to be what shows us that you changed. That's where I want to go.
Right.
Like you just said, like, yeah, I'm the same mindset. If you said something messed up back in the day, I need to see that you have changed your ways over time. Whether you, we just see a different personality, you've donated money, you whatever. Even if it's a bullshit PR stunt, that money was real that you donated. You know what I mean?
Right.
The people you talked to was real. We don't know, what people take into the mind. I can listen to a podcast and not retain any of it because it was just in my ear as fodder. You know what I mean? So yeah, the actions after the fact has to be what changed, which is why we saw Michael Vick redemption. He donated, he worked at it, he talked about it, he owned up to his mistake, and then he got back in the graces of the people for the most part. So those are the steps she has to take to get to that point, and everybody else who makes those mistakes.
Yeah. Just saying, none of us are perfect. That's all I say. Dom, you said something that you might have said a while ago. I'm sure I said something stupid 20 minutes ago. Don't hold that against me 20 minutes from now. I probably heard myself say it and was like, oh shit, I didn't even mean that.
You're talking about Superman being a good character.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to you next. Your thought on either the cancel culture or the Gina Carano situation.
So I want to make comments on both. So cancel culture and sometimes is necessary in the sense of what we see happening with Marilyn Manson, right? Can be very necessary. In other cases, James Gunn tweeting out shit 10 years ago, like, holy shit, when I was 15 in MySpace, I'm going to be 31. The freaking type of humor back then was like the darkest sort of shit that you've ever heard, right? So for him making, jokes that were inappropriate 10, 11 years ago and then suddenly getting fired for it a year ago, totally out of left field. People are trying to cancel Chris Pratt. Now, as far as I know, Chris Pratt has really never said anything. He just goes to a very conservative church. I'm Catholic. I grew up Catholic. There's a lot of things in the Catholic Church that they are against that I'm not against because I have a mind and I sit there going, just because at church they, preach against certain things doesn't mean I believe in it. It's different. So just because, say, Chris Pratt's church says things like that doesn't mean that he feels that way. And this is America. We have freedom of religion, so people shouldn't be, ostracized due to their religion. But so now let's go into the case of Gina Carano, though. As Dom was saying, she knew what she was doing. She knew that that tweet or Instagram post would garner a reaction. The Holocaust didn't happen that long ago. People are still alive today from it, and feeling the effects. That's a very sore subject for a lot of people. And I don't believe that she put it out there just to state things. I think she put it out there because she knew it would get a reaction. And I think I had said this to you, Juwaan, or on Twitter or something. When you are employed, you have to understand that your employer is going to see you on social media. When I was younger, I put something out on Facebook against my boss. I wasn't even friends with my boss on Facebook. 2 days later, I got called to the back office and said, what was up with you bad-mouthing me and my company on Facebook? I didn't get fired for it, but I could have. But that's in a totally bigger scale with Gina Carano and Disney. So it's like it is your responsibility to represent the studio that you work for correctly. Disney is a family-friendly studio who has had pretty bad past ties being anti-Semitic. So that's a really bad look for them to have someone who tweets something out like that. Should they have pulled her aside and maybe spoken to her? Yes, I don't know if they did or not because I'm not in those sort of meetings. So maybe they have had talks with her in the past saying, like, hey, you can't really put that because that's a really bad representation of our company. And maybe she said, it's my personal accounts. I can do whatever I want. I don't know. I don't hate Gina Carano. I don't know her as a person. So I'm not going to say that she's a terrible person, but I think that she should have thought before she acted. And this is just the result of doing it. Again, she's an employee. She put something out on social media. It did not reflect the employer correctly, and they took the action that they realistically had the right to take. Now, I will say one last thing before I stop on my soapbox. It really annoyed me when I tweeted out, and there was someone, I won't say his name, that tweeted to me that as a woman, I should be supporting Gina Carano as the victim. I am a feminist, which means women should be treated equal to men, which means if a woman does something dumb, should get the same exact reaction as a man would for doing something dumb. So no, I'm not going to support Gina Carano in this case because I think she's some delicate flower getting, abused or victimized. So wanted to just put that out there because that annoyed me. I hate that when people are like, you're a woman, you have the same parts, so you should, automatically support no matter what. And I'm like, hell no, not at all.
That's not how society should work whatsoever. Could you picture if all guys had to like be cool with everything that guys do?
Yeah, no,
No way, no way.
That's
Don't hold me to that. Please don't do that. Clay, I'll go to you next. Your thoughts on the situation, whichever way you want to attack it.
Sure. I think listening to everybody, I'm in agreement, right? First, I don't have the answers, right? I don't know what the right course of action is. When I saw that the decision came down, I didn't go in and I didn't read like what she tweeted, so I don't have knowledge of any of that. But I think I was disappointed, for the reasons that you mentioned, Juwaan. I felt like it was a missed opportunity. I think that there is an inability to have a conversation in today's society with someone that you don't agree with, right? And I think that too often and too quickly we choose to draw that line in the sand and say, you're obviously against me. I don't want to hear anything that you have to say anymore. Go away, right? And there's no growth from that. Like you can't have that conversation or hear that idea in your head that you don't agree with, and not that you should, right? Not that you should accept what they're bringing to the table, but you've got to have that conversation, right? I'm liberal, right? And I live in Indiana, which is not liberal, right? So I have had to, my neighbor is a gun-toting Trump supporter. But we have conversations around the campfire, right? He knows where I stand. I know where he stands. We have a respect, right? I love his kids. He loved my kids. Like, I'm glad that he's my neighbor, right? But we have that disagreement. And I wouldn't, I certainly hope that he changes his political viewpoint, right? But I'm not, our friendship isn't based on that, right? Like and I think that, again, it feels like people speak in hyperbole way too often, right? And then there's immediately that like I said, that line in the sand drawn. And I think, to your point, Juwaan, doing that makes her a martyr, you know, which makes her feel righteous